is Neha Tulsyan from Crescent Creation. Welcome to the fairly awesome June release hop. I'm super excited to share with you our 4 new digital stamps for the month of June. As the name suggests, this release is fair themed and you can create some really fun designs with these. Like here, I created this interactive card using our fairly awesome accessories digital stamps. And these are so easy to create. I'm going to show you how I created this card later in this video. And yes, we have 2 gnome sets in this release. And I'm super excited to bring you these designs. So let me share first all the new sets that are released today. The first we have is the Fairly Awesome Digital Set. In this set, you get a Ferris wheel image along with a giraffe and a panda. And you can create a fun interactive card using these images very quickly. The sentiments here reads, "Have a wheelie, happy birthday, I miss you, you are on a roll." Next up is the Fairly Awesome Accessories Digital Set. This set coordinates with the Fairly Awesome Digital Stamp Set and can be used along with it or even alone to create some amazing cards. The images in this set helps you create some beautiful fair scenes, and have designed this set in such a way that you can create an interactive boat ride scene using this set. And I'm going to share a video of that later this week. And I also love the sentiments here. You are fairly awesome. Together is so fun. Enjoy the ride. Next up is the Gnome Me So Well digital stamp set. Gnomes are pretty famous lately, so I thought I should bring some gnome sets too. So this set has a sitting gnome image and you can make him hold anything. And I have added a balloon, an ice cream, a gift box, and even a popcorn for him to hold. He can even hold the slushy or the cotton candy from the Fairly Awesome Accessories digital set. And the sentiments here read, "You know me so well, you are so sweet, sweetest friend like no other." Last but not the least, we have the Independent Gnome digital stamp set where our gnome is holding a flag and wearing an Uncle Sam's hat. I've also included a banner in this set, and we have 3 different fonts of Celebrate Sentiment. So let me quickly share all the 3 cards that I created using these sets and how I mixed matched images from different sets to create these cards. So here, this card I created using both the gnome sets and the Fairly Awesome Accessories set. The gnome is from the Gnome Me So Well stamp set, and the Sentiment Celebrate is from the Independent Gnome stamp set, and the Balloon Bunch is from the Fairly Awesome Accessories stamp set. I edited the gnome image on a Word document and made him hold the balloons. I printed the image and colored it using Copic markers, splattered the background, and popped the image using some foam tape. For my next card here, I just used the Independent Gnome digital stamp set. I created the background using Pink Fresh Seamless Starburst circles, stencil and stamp set, and I trimmed that background diagonally and glued it to the top half of my card base. Colored the gnome image using Copic markers and popped it using some foam tape. Added the Celebrate sentiment just beside it, and to finish up, added some shine using a glitter pen. Let me know in the comment section below if you would want me to do a video tutorial for this card. Lastly, I want to show you this very fun interactive card where I created a fair scene and our panda and giraffe are just enjoying the fair and having some slushy and cotton candy. The best part about this card is that the interactive element does not need any special kind of die. It's very simple to create, and I'm sure the recipient will be thrilled to receive this. You can even create a bigger Ferris wheel and add critters who are sitting and enjoying the Ferris wheel ride. I used both the Fairly Awesome and Fairly Awesome Accessories digital stamp sets for this card. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I created this card. Off camera, I have sized all my images and printed them out using an inkjet printer. And here I'm using some toner gray markers to color the Ferris wheel. I'm using T0, T2 and T4 markers to color the metal parts of the Ferris wheel. While coloring, I would like to talk a little bit about how to size your digital images. When you buy digital images from us, all the digital images are sized to work together. So for example, the Ferris wheel itself has 3 images, the wheel and the 2 legs that helps it stand. So when you're sizing the Ferris wheel to fit your card size, make sure you're sizing the complete file that you received all at once. This way, all the images in that file will work together for you. And you will just have to size the sentiment depending on where you want to put it on your card. Here I'm using B00 Copic marker to color the in-between parts of the Ferris wheel. That's actually the sky. And now back to our conversation. Sometimes we want to have different size of images, and for that you can just crop the image and resize it depending on what you want. Next I'm coloring all the lights on the Ferris wheel using some red, green, yellow and blue Copic markers. The circles are really small, so I just used one Copic marker per color to color these lights. I used R24 for the red light, YG17 for the green, Y19 for the yellow, and B28 for the blue light. Once I'm done coloring this, I'll first go ahead and assemble my interactive element. And for that, I'm die cutting a circle that's almost 1.5 inches in diameter. And now I'm poking a hole through its center using a sharp needle tool. You want to make the hole a little big so a brad can pass through it. Here I'm just putting a brad through the circle die cut, and I will add some foam circles around it, removing the backing of all those foam circles and now gluing it behind the wheel. Next I have this card front that measures 3¼ by 8¼ inches. I have also poked a hole on the top part of this card front, and now I'll just go ahead and feed the brad through it. And that's it, my spinner wheel mechanism is ready. Easy peasy, isn't it? Now that the interactive part is done, I'll go ahead and color the basket and the other parts of the Ferris wheel so that I can put it all together. I'm using some E markers here to color this basket or cart or capsule, whatever you call this. I'm using E39, E35 and E33 Copic markers here. I have removed my Ferris wheel and now I'm gluing all my baskets to it using some liquid glue. Next, coloring the legs of the Ferris wheel using some toner gray markers. I'm using T4 and T0 here. And I'm also going to go ahead and color rest of the images. I'm going to put some music for you to enjoy the coloring process. All the Copic markers used are listed on the screen below. Here I'm done coloring all my elements and now I'm working on the background. The white card front that I showed you earlier, I'm first creating the sky that goes behind the Ferris wheel. I'm using a cloud stencil here and with tumbled glass distress oxide ink, I'm inking up the sky. I'm only inking the top part of my card front and I'm turning my stencil every time I ink the cloud to get a different cloud border from the previous one. Once that's done, I'll go ahead and use antique linen distress oxide ink and ink up the ground for my Ferris wheel. And before I create the scene down, I'm gonna first go ahead and fix the Ferris wheel in place. And this way I would know where to put the other elements on the card front. Here I'm gluing the legs of the Ferris wheel directly to the card front. Next, to create the ground beneath, I'm using one of the dies from Lawn Fawn Stitched Hillside Border Dies and die cut a white cardstock. Here I'm inking it to create the ground. I'm using antique linen distress oxide ink and adding one layer of color to the whole die cut. Next, I'll use vintage photo distress oxide ink and just go over the edges and make the edges dark. Next, on an acrylic block, I will smoosh the vintage photo distress oxide ink pad, add a little bit of water to it and using a fan brush, splatter my background. This will add a very good dirt effect to this die cut. And once this piece is dry, I'll go ahead and glue it in place. Next, I die cut a grey fence out of Lawn Fawn little picket fence border die. And here I'm gluing it on top of the hill that we just glued. And using my pair of scissors, I'll go ahead and snip off the center of the fence, creating an opening to go to the Ferris wheel, trimming off the excess fence that's hanging off the sides. Now I'll go ahead and glue the ticket booth just beside the fence. Off camera, I die cut another white piece using a different die from the same Lawn Fawn Stitched Hillside Border die set. And here I'm inking it up using Twisted Citron Distress Oxide ink. Next, I smooshed some Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink pad onto the acrylic block, added some water to it and splattering the grassy hill using my fan brush. Here, keeping the card front as a guide, I'm gonna go ahead and mark where I want to cut this piece to fit my card front. Using my guillotine trimmer, I'm gonna go ahead and make the cut. Now using some foam tape, I'm gonna go ahead and glue it in place. Removing the backing here and I'm gonna go ahead and pop up the grassy hill towards the bottom of the card front. Now I'm gonna go ahead and glue the food cards in place. Adding some shadow beneath these cards using an E marker. Now all is left is to glue my critters down and the sentiment. Using an X-Acto knife, I'm separating both the hands of the giraffe so that I can make him hold a cotton candy. Here I'm just trimming off the excess white border around the cotton candy that I got while I was cutting it using my scan and cut. With tiny images like this, the white borders sometimes look very big. Adding some glue and gluing the cotton candy in place, so now my giraffe can enjoy the cotton candy. Here I'm doing the same for the panda's hand, so a panda can hold two slushies, one for himself and one for the giraffe. So here I'm gluing both the slushies in place. And before I glue these critters down, I'll first go ahead and glue the sentiment. My sentiment reads, "You are fairly awesome," which I've cut into a strip and now I'm cutting a fishtail on one end. I also added a little bit of Twisted Citron color to the sentiment strip because I didn't want it to be all white. And I just used whatever color was left in the blending brush from the inking earlier. Now gluing the sentiment in place using some liquid glue and trimming off the excess strip using my scissors. I've added some foam tape behind the top of the critters and adding some liquid glue towards their bottom and gluing both the critters in place. Now using a YG marker to add some shadows beneath both the critters. And now I'm gluing this card front to a black cardstock that's slightly bigger than the card front. I added liquid glue all around but made sure not to add any glue on or near the brad. Next, I'm gluing this steel cardstock to a white slimline card base that measures 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And now I'll go ahead and glue my card front to the card base. Here we are almost done with the card, and I wanted to quickly talk to you about the giveaway today. We have a huge giveaway this month. One lucky winner will receive all the 4 digital sets from this release. Isn't that amazing? So don't forget to leave a comment on each video in this hop and consider subscribing to all our channels. Winner will be announced on June 22nd on my community post. Using a white gel pen, I'm adding highlights to all the images. Lastly, I'm adding this arrow that I die cut using teal cardstock for the recipient to know that the wheel spins. This arrow die is from the Reveal Wheel die from Lawn Fawn. If you do not have this die, you can simply create an arrow using a pen or just write the word turn near the Ferris wheel. So these were my cards for today, featuring the fairly awesome June release from Crescent Creation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more crafty videos. Also, don't forget to hop along for a chance to win the big giveaway. I appreciate all your comments and support. Here are a few more videos that you might like to watch. Thank you for visiting. Have a nice day.